In the top stories, St. Paul's man charged for importing marijuana. St. Lucia Calypso finalists selected, and Honduran armed forces seize control of prisons to stamp out gangs. Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today is Tuesday, the 27th of June, 2023. I'm Jason Davis. Nationally, the Customs and Excise Department has arrested and charged Bernard Esdale of Main Street, St. Paul's for false declaration, concealment of restricted goods, namely cannabis, and importation of restricted goods, specifically cannabis. The offenses were committed on June 23 at the Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw International Airport when a routine customs check of imported cargo revealed 37 small packages of vegetable material concealed in 3 milkshake containers in a parcel addressed to Mr. Esdale. Forensic analysis later confirmed the vegetable material to be cannabis. The police force commends the Customs and Excise Department for their continued efforts to stop the illegal importation of goods into the Federation. Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Right Honourable Dr. Denzil Douglas, travelled to Paris recently to attend a unique Heads of State and Ministerial Conference to identify financial solutions for tackling poverty, curbing planet-side emissions, and curb planet heating emissions, and protecting nature in the developing world. Some 40 heads of state and a similar number of ministers from both the developed and developing world were invited by French President Emmanuel Macron to a new Global Financing Pact summit in Paris, along with leaders of multilateral development banks such as the World Bank, international organizations like the OECD, the WTO, the private sector, philanthropists, and international NGOs. The tightly packed day-and-a-half summit work of high-level roundtables and 40 parallel events provided an opportunity for the developing and developed world to examine interactions between multilateral development banks, reform, the mobilization of private capital, climate finance, green infrastructures, and solutions related to debt, all focused on developing and vulnerable countries across the globe. Minister Douglas, who was accompanied by the Federation's ambassador to UNESCO in Paris, Dr. David Doyle, engaged in debates at the top platform on the second day of the summit. The summit concluded with agreement and recognition that the target of $100 billion special drawing rights, a reserve asset created by the IMF or equivalent contributions, should be channeled to the most vulnerable countries, especially in Africa, and called for additional pledges. The summit also sought commitments from the multilateral development banks to optimize their lending capacity increased to $200 billion over the next 10 years via their balance sheets and taking more risks. In other news, Brooklyn Nets' Nicholas Claxton, who has roots in Nevis, is in the Federation and will host a one-day basketball camp, according to a Facebook post by Junior Minister in the Nevis Island Administration, the Honourable Troy Liburd. Claxton and his entourage were welcomed by the Minister at the Vance Amory International Airport in Nevis. He said that Claxton will also speak to children from the various schools around the island. Mr. Claxton has Nevisian roots and has expressed how happy he is to be in Nevis. Moving now to news on the regional scene. The finalists for the 2023 National Calypso Monarch competition in St. Lucia